Good evening, everybody, and welcome back, Spartan Nation Radio. It's great to have you. We now head out to Hotlanta, where Spartan Nation senior writer Johnny Shop joins us. As you know, each and every week, John joins us, and we do our weekly Pick Six, where John picks the 6 most interesting games in college football. We pick, and if we disagree on 6, great. If we disagree on 5, great. However many we disagree on. Some weeks we don't disagree on any. And then each week is only worth 1 point. And if it ties, we carry it forward like a skins game. Last week in golf, we disagreed on 3. It was a big week for John. John got 2 of the 3 correct, which means he wins the week. So now for the year, I'm up 1 week. John, how are you?
Back in the game. It's 3-2 on the board. I'm feeling pretty good because of that Friday night double I had last week in the Pick Six. I'm also feeling good because this is going to be the month that defines a lot of team season, a lot of people's aspirations, and we're going to see people fly all over that transfer portal. So I'm ready to get into the 6 most interesting games ever this week.
All right, John, fire away.
Friday night special. Go ahead and make sure you're tuned into this one. Nippert Stadium at night in Cincinnati. Talking about the University of Central Florida at Cincinnati Friday night.
John, I don't think this one is. Listen, I think UCF is good, but I think they were demoralized by Ohio State. I'm picking UCF for the road upset.
UCF with the road upset. I like Cincinnati a lot. I think you go into Nippert Stadium on a Friday night. I think sitting ducks here. I think Central Florida is going to have a rough trip. I got the Bearcats in this one. Let's stay in that part of the country with a game that looks extremely close on paper. That involves the Ames, Iowa State University Cyclones. They are hosting Texas Christian University, TCU, at Iowa State.
I'm only going to take Iowa State, John, because they're at home. I would have flipped it if it was at TCU.
I want to take TCU. I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take TCU. On the road, this could be damage city, a little bit of damage city for the folks at Iowa State. So I'm going to go ahead and take TCU. Let's talk about the option. Let's talk about the academy. The option festival this weekend at the Naval Academy. Air Force at Navy. Option.
Oh, John, this one's hard for me because I love Navy. I love Air Force. You know, the more I battle with this one, my son and I were joking about this one tonight also because I just think it's a good game. I love it. It's out west. To me, it's a toss-up. So here's what I'll do. I'm going to take Air Force, and I'm only taking them for one reason. Because my heart is to always take Navy. But because I love them coming from the west, I think it's easier to play from the west to the east than the east to the west. And because it's at Navy in Maryland, I'm going to take Air Force. This is like an afternoon game to them. They're not going to seem like they're waiting around all day. I'm going to take Air Force. This makes no sense to me. In fact, I told my son, I'll take whoever you don't pick. So I'll take Air Force, but if you were going to take them, I'll take Navy.
Well, it's tough because it is at Navy. It's a 3:30 game, but like you said, there's 2 things. One, that's plenty fine Colorado time, and 2, these guys are used to getting up early. This game means a lot. The Commander's Trophy means something to all these academies. I actually like Air Force in a redemption for what happened to them at Boise State a couple weeks ago. But everybody loves the fine head coach of Navy, Ken Montolano. Maybe I butchered his name, but I would take Air Force.
Okay.
So if I need to change your pick, let's change it.
All right. No problem, because I have no issues with that at all. I'll give it to you.
Who bounces back? What happens here? Maryland just smashed completely out of any contention to reach the second tier of the Big Ten. They go on the road to Rutgers. I don't know what's going on at Rutgers. I don't know what happens to a team at this stage of the season when there's a coaching change. What happens? Maryland at Rutgers.
Maryland is going to kick the crap out of them.
When we put this game on the list, it was before the coaching change was made, and I was really hoping that the change would not be made yet, but it has been made, and I too think Maryland bounces back this week. Now we've got by 4 touchdowns or more.
All right, so John says Maryland by 4 touchdowns. I said they kicked the crap out of them. We both agree.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know who shows up to play for Rutgers at this point. I don't know. We haven't seen something like this before this early in the season.
Now, John, I want everyone to know this before you go through your list. I do not know what games you're going to pick, right?
No.
Okay,
never.
Because there is one game I'm really waiting for you to give us, and I know it'll make your top interesting. Go ahead.
I don't know if you're talking about California at Oregon, but I'm extremely interested in this Pac-10 game, Cal at the Oregon Ducks.
I'm not a buyer on Cal, although I think Mario Cristobal is a very good coach. So this is a hard game for me, John. But I'm going to tell you where I'm going. I am only going to go Oregon, even though I'm not a buyer. I'm going to go with Oregon only because they're the home team.
I'm going to follow your logic there. I think Cal is disappointed in what happened last week. I want to see some resolve out of Justin Wilcox, but I also think if Oregon is going to get somewhere with the current head coach who looks like he's well qualified in Mario Cristobal, this is a game they've got to win. I like Oregon close and late. We've got 2 left on the plate this week. This one to me is very simple. It is Iowa at Michigan. I like Michigan big because of this reason. Whenever you look for Iowa to step up on a big stage and show up, when have they ever done that? I say not very often. They're good at an upset, and they're good in the games they probably should win. I think Iowa gets mowed and steamrolled out of the big house this weekend.
Disagree completely. Iowa.
Iowa, he says. Iowa, he rides with. Game of the week, Auburn at Florida. When you spell Florida, you use the letter F. When you spell fraud, you use the letter F. I see Fraud City here. I like Auburn Tigers by a bunch.
Yep, I totally agree, John. There's no argument for me whatsoever, and we disagree on 4 games. So we disagree on Cincinnati, UCF, TCU, Iowa State, Air Force, Navy, and Michigan, and Iowa. Now, John, we're going to get into the state of Michigan State football. Before we do, when will your article run this week?
Going to be coming out in the middle part of the week. I think I'm looking at it right now. It's almost completely done. So we're talking middle of the week. I would say Thursday at the latest, and it is going to lay out for you what will happen in this month. And I'll give you a preview, folks. Here comes the judge. Here comes the judge. It is going to break down for Spartan football in the month of October and for the Big Ten East this month. There will be no more speculation about who is this good or who is that good or our guy's doing okay or we've got what it takes. You're going to find out between now and All Hallows Eve, a.k.a. Halloween.
All right. So, John, what day? You didn't give us an exact day. What day are you thinking?
Yeah. Either Wednesday or Thursday.
All right, good.
Either Wednesday or Thursday. It's almost all done, and we don't know exactly what we have with Michigan State football yet. You've got some good signs and some good numbers, and then you've got some bad signs. What I would tell you very clearly is this. Michigan State's got to have the very best from Brian Lewerke to have any chance to win the next 2 weeks. And there's a really good chance that the Spartans could get completely waxed and shined on the road at Ohio State and on the road at Wisconsin. They're going into the probably 2 toughest places to play right now in the Big Ten. They're going to 2 mega powerhouses on offense, the number 1 and number 2 total defense in the country as of this date. Yes, that does reflect the competition they played. But this could get very ugly for Michigan State, or we could see a real surprise and see Michigan State maybe split these 2 weeks. And if they do, they're right there in the running. But whatever you think at this point about Spartan football or whatever somebody is telling you, how great this guy's playing, how bad this guy looks, whatever it is, we're going to find out because early on Saturday night, you'll get an idea of whether Michigan State can hang around in the horseshoe or whether they're going to get run out of the horseshoe once again.
All right. So, John, now I want to dig into the state of Michigan State football. Coach Grenier was on earlier tonight. He flat said it, not embarrassed about it. He said the offense is not good. He named several things. He thought Michigan State got away with some stuff because of the quality of opponent. What do you think is the state of the MSU offense? I still am not a buyer.
Yeah, it's kind of the reverse or inverse of the bend but don't break offense. I think obviously we're going to find out what happens in the next 2 weeks, but I'm not a buyer yet. I think they would do better I think they're still trying to shove pretty much a square circle or a square into a circle. They're trying to throw a square peg into a circle. It's not going to work. I think they'd be better served if they did a couple things. Number one, accept and act like they are a pass-to-run offense at best. Number two, run as your base run plays some kind of traditional option. And if they did those two things, I think they would have a chance to make the most of their offense. But no, I'm not a buyer at all. You would expect Michigan State to have done a lot better against the competition so far if you were going to be a buyer. And again, just look at how Wisconsin and Ohio State have just rolled people so far. You see that, you've got an idea that, okay, we've got a really good offense. When you're struggling and inconsistent against lesser competition, it's not a good sign.
John, there's a very good shot Michigan State's going to lose their next 3 games. We talked about it at length before the year. I asked a bunch of media people, administrators at Michigan State, with this defense, what is the least amount of wins they can take without it being an unsuccessful season? No one said less than 9. They're sitting here today at 4-1. They can only afford to lose 2 more games the entire rest of the season, and they could very well lose the next 3. Barring injuries or things we don't see, I think they're going to lose the next 3. At that point, how critical is this stretch? Mark D'Antonio's legacy is cemented, the all-time winner. I'm not questioning that. But I wrote extensively before the year that the luster on his legacy could be dimmed by his refusal for years to not fix the offense, to not fire anyone last year. How much of the luster of his legacy is on the line?
How much of the luster is on the line is a good question. I can safely say, it's hard to percentage it, but definitely less than 25%. It feels somewhere between 10 and 25% because you could be looking at the last third or so of his career and say, well, it kind of went up and down there. And you look back at it's amazing to think where Michigan State football was after surviving the Notre Dame game in 2016. That was really kind of a warning shot. And then the free fall and some bad circumstances off the field that happened that year as well in 2016. So you kind of would separate from that point forward and you'd see diminishment in the legacy for sure. This happens. It happened to Mack Brown. It happened to Mark Richt. It's happened across the country at coaches that have won at the kind of level that D'Antonio has won at. And we stare at this calendar right now. It's very clear the next 2 weeks are tough. It's clear they're going to have an extra week for Penn State, which I think helps a lot. And then as you laid out, there's 3 football games left out of the 4 that are absolutely wins if you're looking at projecting them. That's Illinois, Rutgers, and Maryland. The Michigan game is always a toss-up simply because in the modern era, which is started in 1995, Michigan has a 2-game lead since then. That's it. So it's obviously going to be tight. But when you've got this good of a defense, you're going to be in all those games. This is it for the offense. This is the turning point for the back end of the Mark D'Antonio legacy. It's this week. If this team somehow catches fire, if they do change it up, if they do run tempo more often, if they can find some success and get absolutely the best play of Brian Lewerke's career by air, land, and sea, and foot in any way possible, then you really got a chance to do something. But if they get completely mowed down the next 2 weeks and put up less than 20 points total, it's going to be rough to get any kind of tarnish or probably rust off a little bit of a ding to the back end of Mark D'Antonio's legacy.
Brian Lewerke has 2 starts against Ohio State and has not yet led a scoring drive. All 9 points last year was when he was benched and they put Rocky in. And then they benched Rocky later. And he didn't score after they benched Rocky. Is this a legacy-making game for Brian Lewerke?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Boy, if you do something this week, if you win at Ohio State, no matter what school you were at, that's something that goes on the legacy. If Lewerke wins at Ohio State this week, it absolutely goes on the legacy. We talk a lot about comparisons between Drew Stanton. Drew Stanton had maybe his best half as a Spartan at Ohio State, the famous fast field goal game that we unfortunately saw Michigan State melt down in. Imagine if Lewerke could get on a hot run and find something to make it work. And I would remind folks again, this is what frustrates so many people in Spartan Nation. They saw the game in 2015. Injury to Connor Cook, weather in the air. All of a sudden, Michigan State's running option plays, and Ohio State can't stop them. That is what got them in position to win that football game on that side of the ball. So if you see the Spartans stumble and struggle and go nowhere early, you're going to be looking at the field for an adjustment from this new/old offense. And if they refuse to accept that they're at best a pass-to-run team, if they refuse to go back to the traditional option style plays that beat Ohio State in 2015, and if they refuse to do anything at all with tempo, they're going to set themselves up to get TKO'd in the first half. And if that happens, that's going to leave a permanent mark.
Spartan Nation senior writer Johnny Shop. So, John, does that surprise you when I tell you that about Lewerke? 2 years, 2 starts, no points?
It surprises you a little bit because people think back to 2017. I remember everybody was jacked up for that one, and Michigan State just got steamrolled. Last year, they were beyond bad. This is 2019. This is an offense that has struggled for too many years in a row. And this is an offense that refused to make any wholesale changes when extraordinarily good options were available, including from the program that they're going to face this weekend. So if they do not come up with something, and if they do not produce, which is the word of the year for the offense, it is going to be potentially a very long October and a long, long, long afterglow for Mark D'Antonio when he looks at what he had talent-wise in these years and what they have to show for it. This is a football team and an offense that is yet to reach its potential, let alone exceed its potential. And it seems like they're still the ones getting in their own way of doing that.
John, what is your prediction for Saturday? I need a score and a winner.
Score is tough off the top of my head. Ohio State is 17 to 21 points better than Michigan State. I don't think it's a first half knockout. I don't think it's ever competitive. I like the Buckeyes between 17 and 21. I don't think they'll score 50, but I think they'll score between 35 and 45 points.
Okay, I need a score, though. There's a reason. You'll find out on Friday.
Okay. I will say 42 to 10.
Okay. John, one last question, then I'm going to get you out of here. You know this. I love Spartan Nation. I love the fans. But I think a lot of people are buying fool's gold. And fool's gold, when you head up to the counter and try to pay the bills, gets exposed. I'm not concerned about the defense. Indiana was a terrible matchup because they dink and dunk. That's their only weakness. I wrote about that at Spartan Nation, that was a concern. But I'm asking you, do you see the bravado? Hey, 2 in a row, our offense is back, yada, yada, yada. Am I being overly negative? Or am I the one, and everyone else is right, John? Or am I the one crying the emperor has no clothes? I'm not buying this offense at all.
Well, from a national perspective, nobody else is buying the Michigan State offense yet. I hold out very slight hope that there are some real deal changes that are going to be spurned upon us, and they need to show up now. I do get the feeling that D'Antonio and company understand that their backs are kind of up against the wall as much as they ever will be in what has been an incredibly successful run at Michigan State as the head football coach, beyond probably anybody's reasonable imagination. But their backs are up against the wall here. They got a fifth-year senior quarterback. They keep on trying to jam a square peg into a round hole. So I have a crack in the door of hope that we're going to see something that works and looks quite unfamiliar to what we have seen so far this year. However, if I had to bet, which I do not, if you had to take the temperature on a national level, people are expecting that Ohio State is going to roll Michigan State Saturday night.
He is the great John Shop. Look for his article coming later this week. It's going to be a good one. We'll be back. Spartan Nation Radio, the state of Michigan State football. The state of Michigan State football. The state of Michigan State football.